Welcome to Liberty Today. Today's show features the dramatic account of one man's journey for freedom. A freshman legislator talks about his first session in Pierre. Nancy Pelosi reveals why she supports Mike Rounds. And we'll premiere a brand new feature, Answers in the Constitution. All this and more on today's Liberty Today.
Some of us have seen a few decades of politics, and Senator Adelstein, you're one of those people who've watched as there's been a parade, a lifetime of good and bad politicians. But I know you were a strong supporter of Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
And I think you probably maybe you've got a story to tell about an encounter with Reagan or some.
I've got a little embarrassing story. No, I'd been very involved in the campaign, and my one and only White House dinner, I walked through the line, and I put up my hand, and I said, "It's so good to speak to you, Governor." Oh my God! And he looked at me. I said, he said, "Don't worry, I'm having trouble getting used to it also."
Oh, is that right?
And then my last encounter with him was in an organization called the Jewish Republican Coalition said goodbye to him. And we had a lovely little reception in what's called the Roosevelt Room of the White House. And there in that room, there's a big picture of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, whom I loathe with every ounce of my being, and Teddy Roosevelt, who's what I believe in. And so help me, the pictures I had showed me under the picture of Roosevelt, and that was sort of different. But
well, I guess you take.
We gave a beautiful glass gift to the president, and he was very kind in response to us.
One of the things that has intrigued me, because you and I have had some political interaction, we know that we don't agree on everything.
You bet.
But some of the positions that Ronald Reagan took seem to run counter to those that you have been dedicated to. He was staunchly pro-life, and you have been a defender of what you would probably say are women's rights.
You couldn't have put it better than myself. That's right. But the fact is that you can't expect any political figure to agree precisely with you unless it's yourself, and then you don't always agree with yourself, do we? So all the other issues, let's begin with the fact that he was running against one of the worst presidents of my lifetime, Jimmy Carter, who is still doing terrible things, particularly in the Mideast. And as it happens, Ronald Reagan, who'd grown up in California, really understood the need for the state of Israel and been the outstanding leader but on that issue. But that isn't the only one. I was part of a business management group for Reagan early on with the man who unfortunately died in a rodeo, the Secretary of the Interior that he appointed. Yes, Secretary of Commerce, I'm sorry. With name escapes me for a moment. So the Reagan's position on business in general, on free enterprise in general, in terms of states' rights. He'd been a governor.
Yes, so not
an organizer in Chicago.
Yes.
There's a big difference. So I supported him for all of those reasons, and if I disagreed with an issue, well, that's what you can do in this country.
You know,
as long as that flag flies.
That's right. And I was listening to a documentary the other day about Thomas Jefferson and I think it was John Adams.
Yes.
And what adversaries they were, but in later life, in later years, they actually were very intimate pen pals, you might say. Historically, they really connected, even though they were at odds on many issues.
That's fascinating because they began in the same place.
Yes.
And they ended in the same place. And once again, they understand. And in both of them, although I might agree a bit more with John Adams, maybe I don't know. Yeah, there is a conflict.
Yeah, but they found agreement at the foot of the flag, didn't they?
Because of that flag, we can have disagreement, and we don't ended up hiring assassins or trying to cut women's legs off.
Yes, well, and those of you who know Senator Adelstein or have watched his political career over the decades, really, you've been involved in some very significant roles in many campaigns. I'll say this, even when we disagree, Senator, I never question your patriotism because I know that in the deepest parts of your soul, you are a committed, believing American. And I just want to say God bless you for that.
Well, I never forget, could you maybe you can piece it in, I never forget when I took that oath I pledge my allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. I swear to defend the Constitution of the United States against any enemy, domestic or foreign, whomsoever.
Yes, both foreign and domestic.
Whomsoever, yes.
And I believe you've been faithful to that and dedicated to this country. So God bless you. Thank you for tuning in today.